Okay, welcome everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Today's webinar, as you can see, how to build and keep a dream team for your business, vital for your business, vital for the growth of what you're doing. Congratulations, as always, if you've been to some of our webinars before, some of what you see today will be familiar, but it is always different. Today is all about you, as always. So please do take notes, write down any light bulbs that go off in your head, anything that resonates, and anything that you feel like you'd like to take action on outside of the webinar, because that's where the real magic happens. So today you're going to leave with ideas on growth, on how to scale your business, and strategies on team building. You're definitely going to learn how to build the team and some of the principles, at least, that we coach people on over a long period of time that is going to help you. And as always, you're going to get out of this what you put in. The more you participate, the more you ask questions, and the more you are part of the process, the more you will get out of it. So in order to see where everyone is at the moment, if everyone's had their coffees, answers in the chat box, please. Has anyone ever made a hiring mistake? Yes or no, answers in the chat box. Has anyone ever made a hiring mistake? I will put my hand up and be the first one to say yes to that. Definitely made some hiring mistakes in the past. Yes, a few.
A lot of yeses.
A lot of yeses. Not yet. Wes is going to be ahead of the game by learning some of what we'll cover today. Sam, hello, mate. Hope you're good. Thank you for joining. Great. Well, look, it's good to know that we're not alone. Everyone's made hiring mistakes, which is absolutely normal. So what we're going to be covering today, some of the topics that we're going to be covering today, as I said, please write down anything that resonates. You will forget 97% of what we cover today unless it is written down. This is what we're covering today. A lot of topics that are there. So again, answers in the chat box, please. How many of you have a written, not in your head, a written and clearly defined step-by-step recruitment process, which you review quarterly in line with your business goals? Just a yes or no in the chat box, please. How many of you have a written and clearly defined recruitment process, which you review quarterly in line with your goals? No. Lots of no's. Again, good news. You're not alone. I've got several businesses myself, as well as being a business coach. When I first came across this, I had nothing, absolutely nothing in place. It was all guesswork. So that means you're going to start with a blank slate, which is perfect. As always, if you've been to these webinars, as I mentioned with Damien and myself, today is part one of the education that you're going to be receiving today, as well as the tech advice that Damien is going to share with regard to Synergy and what they do. For those of you that do want to act and make changes and work more on your team building or any other challenges in your business, we will share later on how you can do that. Alternatively, you can scan to connect with me on Instagram and stay in touch there. Any questions you ask me there, I'll send a voice note back. But today is part one of your educational process. For those of you who want more, part two is going to be shared later on. So a brief overview of my story. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Cooks, Kuldeep Singh Sahota. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I'm an investor, and I am a business coach. So I've got multiple businesses that I run, and I spend a lot of my time business coaching. And my story is this, that I started with a property development company out in India, as you usually do. But that was actually through a friend of mine. We built 152 apartments. It was a £5.2 million development. That was my first project. I'd never done that before, and I was responsible for the brand and marketing of that particular project. Sold out of that project and started my family business, which is what you see on the right-hand side, making chili sauces in our garden shed, ruining my mum's kitchen along the way. And that is basically what set me on the path of growth and discovering what business really was. Well, what I thought business was. We were scaling. It was exciting. We were growing the business very, very fast, supplying the likes of Tesco, Sainsbury's, Ocado, Selfridges. We were exporting all over the world, raised hundreds and thousands of pounds for the business. And it was just going places. It was an incredible journey, very exciting. But I also got to a point where the business, as rapid and intense as it was, I'd gone from being in my garden shed to being on TV in number 10 Downing Street. I basically created myself a job that I could not leave. My boss, i.e. me, was an absolute lunatic. No days off. I was working 18-hour days, no social life. I had bad health. I had no idea how to build a team or a business. I was always stressed. I had this like kind of hustler mindset. And I thought that was it. I thought this is life and how it should be when you're an entrepreneur and a business owner. And the picture that you see on the left-hand side is 10:17 p.m. on a Saturday night. I'm celebrating the fact that I'm working because that's what I thought it should be. As you can see, the picture in the middle, that's my brother sitting on our stock in our old living room in our old house, because again, that's what I thought you had to do when you start a business like this. And when I went into coaching, I just realized that that's not what business is and that's not how life should be. And on my first session home from coaching, because it had such a profound impact on me, I booked my first 7-day holiday in 7 years. No mobile phone, no laptop, complete time off. And as you can see, my wife was very happy. She became my friend once again, and that's us in Greece on the right hand side. Damien, do you want to jump in and just give everyone an introduction to yourself?
Thank you, Cooks. Yeah, great. So some of you do know me on the call. Hi, Ruth. Hi, Andrea. And I'm sure there's others. If you don't know me, my name's Damien. I am currently the partnerships manager for Total Synergy globally. Synergy is a built environment design project and business management software package. And we're going to cover a little bit about the functionality that we can offer to help with team today. But I've been in built environment businesses since 2006. I was in consulting engineering firms. I've sort of managed the back office of those businesses. I know firsthand the kind of pain points that you guys experience as professionals hiring time-based resources and managing those in the businesses that you're in. So hope I can add some value to what you're doing with including how we use tech to do it with built environment businesses. So yeah, as I said, in 2017, I moved over to the UK from Australia to set up Synergy in the UK market, being country manager for 5 years and now head of partnerships, working with the likes of Kooks and other partners to bring value to our customer base and webinars like this and see how we can partner with professionals in our space to help you guys run your businesses better. That's what it's all about.
Cheers, mate. And I'm not just saying this obviously because Damien's here and we work with Synergy, but a lot of what we coach people on with regard to business, the data that you need to make really informed strategic decisions, like Synergy makes it very, very easy to access that data, because a lot of businesses, not only built environment businesses, but a lot of businesses that we work with just don't have a dashboard of any kind, no data on how the business is actually performing on a weekly basis. And so it's critical, and it will make sense as we go through the webinar. So look, there's 4 key areas that most business owners feel masses of frustration, and it's across the board, not just in built environment spaces. The first one is time, the last webinar that we covered. So time management, lack of time, working all of the time, anything to do with time mastery is a massive area of frustration. Team, which is what we're covering today. So frustrations around finding the right people, keeping the right people, motivating them, building a culture, retaining the best people and attracting the best people as well. Money. So we're looking at things like cash flow. We're looking at profit and loss, cash flow forecasting, scope creep, understanding margins and profitability on hourly rates when you're charging out, senior architects or whoever it is in your practice. Massive area of frustration and again, a massive area of opportunity to grow your business as well. And then finally, we're looking at marketing. Especially in the built environment space, people are so talented and so good at what they do, yet there is an ongoing challenge about being able to communicate that and marketing your services in the right way. So rather than being a well-kept secret, your name, your brand, your business gets out there so more and more people can know about all the incredible work that you do. So that's another webinar we'll be covering in the future, but today is all about team. Now, I love this question, and if you've been to a couple of our webinars before, I'm going to test you to see if you know the answer to this. Sam, you and I work quite closely together, so I'm going to be testing you as well. The first question I'd like to ask you all, and please put your answers in the chat box. I've just revealed it again. What is a business? What is your definition of a business? Answers in the chat box, please. What is your definition of a business? Let's see what everyone thinks. What is your definition of business? Answers in the chat box, please. Offers a project to sell. Thank you, Barry. Anything else? Any other takes on what a business is? Oh, something that works without you. We're getting there. An entity or an exchange that turns a profit. Anything else? Any other descriptions of what a business is? Providing goods and services. Kirsten, thank you. Anything else? An organization that adds value. Interesting. Thank you, Mark. So look, here's what I got coached on and what has now become my definition of what a business is and what we coach people on. A business is a commercial and profitable enterprise that can work without you. Now, I had an additional sentence for you all who are architects and in the built environment space as creative people, a commercial and profitable enterprise which works without you if you wish. So what that means is you have the choice to practice architecture, you have the choice to practice design rather than having to do the work because that's what's going to bring in the money. So essentially you create the role of senior architect, lead architect, architectural designer or creative director within your own business, and that's the job that you do, but it's not the thing that you have to do in order to make the business work. So this is what a business is, a commercial and profitable enterprise which can work without you if you wish. What is a business coach? So our definition of a business coach is the unreasonable friend who holds you accountable. So whatever you say you're going to do, the business coach holds you accountable to that. And why am I sharing this with you? Well, you may or may not heard of coaching before, business coaching before, and it's just to outline what it is, how it works, and really what it's how it benefits business owners. And finally, is business coaching right for you? Is it something that you could possibly explore in the future? Well, if you're someone that says, I know, yeah, but that's not going to work for me, then possibly not. But if you're someone that says, go on, I'm listening, that's an interesting idea, then possibly. It means that you're open to new ideas and new ways of running your business. Learn this and you win. If you can understand this concept and take it home with you today, write it down and build a business that can start to work without you, then you will be winning. So again, answers in the chat box. Any thoughts that come into your mind when you see this question? Why is a team important, even as a sole trader? Why is a team important, even as a sole trader? Thoughts in the chat box, please. You cannot do everything. Absolutely. Anything else? It's better to win together. Thank you, Lee. Althea, thank you. Any other thoughts? Diverse points of view, opinions, stronger as a team. The team makes up for my weaknesses. Kelvin, I love that. What else? For me, it increases my productivity. Absolutely. What else? I mean, all of these points are spot on. These are all vital points of why a team is important, even as a sole trader, because you absolutely cannot do everything by yourself. It's impossible. There's only a certain number of hours in a day. And as a sole trader, for example, you're the salesperson, the marketing person, the HR person, you're the cleaner, you're the motivator, the manager. And it's challenging to do all of those roles. And so there are times where you need to bring freelancers and other people on board to help alleviate some of the pressure that you're facing. We are social creatures in the chat box. I love that. Absolutely. Look, we perform our best when we're surrounded by other people who elevate and uplift us, and we are working towards a common goal. That's why a team is important. The reason I've got a picture of Lionel Messi there is that arguably the greatest footballer on the planet right now, World Cup winner. But do you think Messi could have won the World Cup by himself? There are some people that think he could have done the whole thing by himself, but realistically, no. He needed the team around him. He needed a team of people that could do their job, perform their best at the highest level, but in their positions. You know, the goalkeeper, the defenders, the midfielders, the wingers. Everyone had a role to play, much like in a business. Everyone's got a role to play to make sure that the machine works works to its optimum to be able to deliver the big vision, the big goal at the end. And in this example, it's the World Cup. So that's why a team is so important and critical to your growth and to your success as business owners, because it's not only you winning, everyone is winning in the team with you. So this is the structure that we use to build businesses. Please screen grab this, take notes on this, because you will need this if you're looking to build your own business. We start with mastery, eliminating chaos in the business. So time mastery, destination mastery, which is goals and visions, delivery mastery, which is how you get your product to your clients, and money mastery, getting your money in order and understanding how your money works. We then build predictable cash flow in your business, create efficiency in your business. We then build structures for growth. So this is taking your team even further: recruitment systems, vision and culture, team performance, onboarding, retention. This is coached on extensively. That then grows into a well-oiled machine. So you've got general managers now starting to run the business for you. They're in training or getting to the stage that they can run it for you. And the business is starting to do more and more without your direct involvement on a daily basis. And finally, you get to the stage where it's your own personal growth as a business owner. You're able to look at new business opportunities or actually move on and do different things that you've always wanted to do. Essentially, what this means is that you get massive results over time. So you get time, team, and money. We know from experience, I know firsthand as well, that building a business to work without you will take anywhere between 3 to 7 years with a coach. Obviously, there's people that have done it without a coach as well, but it will take anywhere between 3 to 7 years. And that takes you working on your business, not doing sales, not doing marketing, not doing admin, but actually working strategically on your business from anywhere between 5 to 20 hours a week. So taking time out to what you're doing today to work on your business. Today, as I said, we're going to be working on team. But when you get this webinar back, screen grab the structure, because this is what you're going to need to build your business moving forward. So there's 3 key components that create happy team members. And before I share them, it'd be interesting to know what everyone thinks those 3 components might be. Answers in the chat box. What do you think are 3 key components that will create happy team members? Let's see what everyone's thinking. Belonging. Culture. Sam, cheers for that, KP. Remuneration, interesting. What else? Valued, appreciated, worthwhile contributors, good pay, flexible hours, culture. I love these suggestions, by the way. Fantastic. So all of these points that you're mentioning in the chat box are actually very valid and very important. But what we've found, these are the 3 highest level contributors to happy team members. So if any of this resonates, and think about how much of this do you offer your team members? Maybe score yourself out of 10. How much autonomy do you give your team members? Excuse me, how much autonomy do you give your team members? How much trust are you giving your team members? And how flexible are you with your team members? Do you let them get on with the work and produce the work and let the results speak for themselves? 3 components of happy team: autonomy, trust, and flexibility. And then everything else that's in the chat box absolutely plays a part in maintaining that happy team member. So when we get on to recruitment, which is more important when hiring, attitude or skills? Answers in the chat box, please. What do you think? Which is more important when hiring, attitude or skills? Attitude, always attitude, right? Attitude every time. Sam knows the situation. What happens if someone has the right attitude but is inexperienced? What happens? They learn. You teach them. Absolutely. You can train them, right? If someone's got, I appreciate for what you all do, there is a certain skill level that has to be met. But assuming there's 2 people that have got the same skill level, you hire the person for attitude. And if the person needs a skill level to go up, you can train them. What happens if someone is really experienced but has poor attitude? What happens then? If someone's really experienced but has poor attitude, what happens then? Headaches, toxic. They don't get gel with the team. Chris, yeah, absolutely. Do you think you can teach attitude? Is it possible to teach someone an attitude? No, right? You just can't change other people. It's nigh on impossible. Someone's only going to change if they want to change. You can't change other people. Absolutely. So why is it that most of us, and I've done this, why is it that most of us recruit against skill when we know attitude is more important? Why is it? Why do we recruit against skill first? Again, the answers in the chat box, please. You feel safe? It's the safest option. Absolutely. What else? Why else do we recruit against skill? So we know attitude's better. Everyone said in the chat box, attitude's the best. Attitude's better for us. But why do we then go ahead and hire for skill? Numpty managers. It's because it's easier, right? It's way easier to hire for skill. You could look at the CV and go, right, they look good. Bring them in for maybe 1 or 2 interviews and you hire the person. But as you can see on screen, hire for attitude, trains for skill. Kurt Kelleher, one of the greatest CEOs in corporate America, read up about Herb. The stories are fantastic. And it's all about the right people and training them up and actually hiring the right people. Attitude is more important than skill, always. It will always win. We're hiring too late, so the job needs to be done straight away. That's very, very interesting, Will. So possibly something to look at in terms of your recruitment plan, your recruitment process. How can you start to hire early, plan for the recruitment? It's hard to see attitude on the CV sometimes, yeah? It is hard. It's impossible, actually. You can't see attitude on CV, so there must be another way, right? Must be another way. Here's our 6 steps for recruiting a top team. Now, again, this is probably 5 to 6 hours worth of coaching, but we're going to give you the top level in terms of how to go about recruiting a top team. The first step is writing down the role and writing down the attitude of the person that you're looking for. Because it's all well and good saying we want the attitude, but what is the attitude that you want? Do you want someone that's hardworking? If you do, what does hardworking actually mean? How do you define that in writing? You want someone that's fun, that gets on with the team, that buys into your culture. Well, how do you know? Is your culture written down? Can you define the right type of person? So you need to define the role and define the attitude, have it written down so it's clear for you and it's clear for the applicant. Because then when you create the advert, in the advert, you are clearly defining the type of person that you're looking for in writing. Because then it's fair. They know the type of person that you're looking for. You know the type of person that you're looking for. And it starts to become just that little bit easier to hire for attitude first. Deciding where to fish. Now, what this means is that in most business cases and in most business industries, there's multiple places you can market the job, because recruitment really is a marketing exercise. You're selling your brand, you're selling your business, you're selling yourselves, the team, the culture, and you're selling the job. So you have to think of recruitment as a marketing exercise, and where to fish essentially means casting the net far and wide. Rather than just posting on Dezeen, maybe think about posting on 10 or 15 different platforms. Because as far as wide as you can go, that's where you're going to find more and more applicants. Have you thought about promoting to your network? Have you thought about promoting to your email database of clients, of suppliers, and so on? Because you never know who might see that particular advert and respond back to you. Now, this is something that we'll be covering in a bit more detail shortly, but screening the candidates. Again, when we're looking for attitude, whose responsibility is it to make sure that we screen the applicants to get the right attitude and to find the right people? It's our job, right? So we have to screen candidates. Interview consistently. So what that means is ensuring that if we've got 10 people, we've interviewed them in the exact same way, and we're either scoring them or marking them in the exact same way, so we have a direct comparison. And it's not just gut feeling, and it's not just assumptions and conversations. Perhaps if you're looking for attitude and you want someone, let's say, that is a fantastic communicator, and then you score that out of 10. If you've got 10 candidates and 5 of them score 5 out of 10 and 3 of them score 8 out of 10, and then 2 of them score 10 out of 10, you know that those 2 who are 10 out of 10 communicators are the ones that you may want to take forward to the next stage. But you have to have a consistent platform and a consistent way of interviewing people, so you've got a fair and consistent way of reviewing the candidates at the end. And then finally, closing the sale. This is actually something that gets missed out a lot, because when you've finally agreed with an applicant that they're going to be joining your team, you have to close that deal with them. It's contracts, it's perks, it's making sure that you get the recruit over the line and that they're happy to join you and they don't just pull out at the last minute. So screening candidates to save time and finding the right attitude. This may be new to many of you, but it's something that we use consistently, and we coach our clients to use consistently as well. In fact, I'm doing this right now. And we call it the deselection process. What's the biggest issue with a huge pile of CVs in your inbox? What's the biggest problem with it? Answers in the chat box, please. Time. Yeah, Sam, time. Absolutely. What else? Overwhelming, brain fog. Yeah, getting through them properly. Where do you start? They're all presenting differently, not comparing. Time to read them properly. Yeah, there's so many problems that come with. Got a frog in my throat. Yeah, there's so many different challenges that come with having 10, 20, 30, 40 CVs, because they all start looking the same eventually. And how do you differentiate? How do you find the attitude? How do you find out what the person is really like? So the first step that we coach people on, and part of our deselection process system, is that in your advert, you're asking people to respond to your advert with their CV, but also calling a phone number and leaving a voice message or leaving a video. So for example, we're hiring for a telemarketer at the moment, and part of the recruitment process is that along with sending their CV, they have to go to our website, and we've given them the link, and answer the question based on the link that we've sent to them. So it shows that they've taken the effort to follow the instructions. And then on top of that, they have to send us a 1-minute selfie video telling us why they like the job. Now, out of, I think it's 150 applicants, we've had 10%, so 15 people that actually sent the video through, and they are the strongest candidates. So I know instantly the remaining people from that 150, I'm not even going to bother checking their CV, because they've not followed the steps I've asked them to take. And the 15 that have, I know, are strongest because they've actually sent me a video, they've been to the website, and they've done all of the right things. So all of a sudden, it makes my job way, way easier. Now, this is optional for you, a deal breaker skills test. Now, I was speaking to an architect the other day, and they were saying that during the recruitment process, the people that they were interviewing claimed to be able to do certain things, claimed to have certain skills, but when it came down to it and they started speaking to them, they didn't actually have the skills they thought they had. And so there's an option for you to create skills tests once you get people through the door, or once you're going through the deselection process. And it could be something very simple, a quick 5 or 10 minute task, but someone with the right skills should be able to perform that task to a very high level very, very quickly. Then the next stage is a group interview. So we're doing this, as I said, we're inviting everyone to a 1-hour group interview. It's on Zoom. And what we will then do during that group interview is ask people to give a 1-minute presentation on a certain topic. And by doing a group interview with this best of the best group, what do you think that's going to give us? Thoughts in the chat box, please. All the candidates that we like are going to be together on a group interview. What's it going to give us? An opportunity to see. And what's it going to give the candidates an opportunity to do as well? Competition. What else? See how they behave with each other. What else? A group interview. Comparison and competition. Absolutely. market themselves, test their character? Absolutely. So the role that we're hiring for is for a telemarketer role. So absolutely, they have to be able to perform in an environment where they're required to speak. Chris has just mentioned the skills test and people feeling undermined by being asked. Well, that's a fair comment. But ultimately, the consideration is for you as the business owner. If the skill is important, it's basically a yes or no consideration for you. Do you want someone who's able to prove their skills? Do they have the right attitude to do it? Yes or no? If no, then maybe that person isn't right for you. But going back to the group interview and the power of the group interview, there is one consideration where perhaps there's someone that's a bit introverted and they may not necessarily feel comfortable. So there is an opportunity for you to maybe go back to that person after the group interview and give them a second chance if you think it's worth it. But by giving everyone an opportunity to speak and to give a presentation, hopefully that means that no one gets left out. The final part of the deselection process is a bit more of a classic one, but it's a phone interview. But this time around, rather than phone interviewing, 10, 20, 30 candidates via a CV, I'm only going to be interviewing the top 3 to 5 candidates from the group interview. So I've allowed people during the group interview to deselect themselves. They may feel like, actually, this is not the place for me anymore. I don't want to work here. And then also the right people with the right attitude have come through and selected themselves by taking the actions asked. So this is our deselection process, and a way for you to find the right attitude and test for the right attitude up front before you hire the candidate. 4 steps of delegation. This is a very, very powerful principle, because we know delegation throws up a lot of problems and challenges. The first step is what? So what are the expected outcomes and by when? What is the project? What is the project? What are the expected outcomes and by when? The second is why. Why have we asked that particular person to do the project? And why have we asked them in particular? Why do you think this step is important? Why do you think it's important to explain why? Why the task and why them? Answers in the chat box, please, when you're delegating. Purpose? Yeah, absolutely, Anna. And what else? Why is it important? Yeah, trust. Anything else? Thank you, Kelvin. It would also give the person that you're giving the project to a sense of ownership. So if you're saying to someone, look, you're the most skilled person for this project, we know that you'll perform this project the best of your ability, or whatever the reason is, it will give them a chance to own the project once it's been given to them. It also eliminates, there are times when someone may say, well, why can't so-and-so do it? Or why can't you do it? Why are you giving it to me? It gives them an understanding of why they've been chosen and why that particular task is given to them. And it's a critical part of the delegation process. Number 3 is a bit of a two-way process. So how are they going to do the work? So it's an opportunity for you to delegate to them the resources, the people, the templates, the training, what is and isn't acceptable. But the other part of it is by you asking them a particular question, and please write this down if you're going to use this 4-step process. You ask the person that has been delegated to, how are you going to complete this project? And what do you need from me in order to complete the project? What benefits do you think there are to asking your team member that particular question? If you're asking them, how are you going to complete this project? And what do you need from me? Answers in the chat box, please. Why is it important to ask them that question? Any takers? I'm hoping people are sipping their coffee at the moment. I'm just writing. To know that they have understood, it shows understanding. Yeah, absolutely. It also allows you to show, it allows you to see their thinking process. It allows you to see how they're going to complete the project and to identify if there are any gaps, and vice versa as well. And it also allows them to ask you questions about the project to ensure that they understand it as best as possible. Shows them that you're not leaving them on their own and that you are there to assist. Yeah, I love that. That's absolutely true. Now, this final stage is critical and one that's missed most of the time by a lot of people. It's agreeing. The team member is summarizing the project and saying it back to you, and it allows you to test their understanding and their final the expectations that they've got of the project to see if they match your expectations. So by them agreeing what it is, summarizing, you're testing their understanding, and you can see if it's going to match the expectations that you've set, and they will also see if what they're doing is going to match the expectations as well. Why do you think this final step is so important? What does it eliminate? Misunderstandings. Yeah. Ambiguity. Absolutely. It eliminates so much. And it just ensures, yeah, getting the wrong result. It's incredibly powerful. But again, it's about communication. It's ensuring that we're all on the same page. Any gaps or misunderstandings are talked about before the work gets done. So these are the 4 steps of delegation. Culture, a critical part of team building and team retention. But what does it really mean and why does it matter? Ultimately, culture is the personality of the workplace, is probably the best way that I can describe it. Do you have a fun culture? Do you have a very strict culture? Is it a very serious culture in the workplace? A laid-back culture? What do you want in terms of culture in the workplace? Because the reason it's so important, it's going to attract, maintain, and keep the right people in your business. The culture that you establish, the culture that you build and foster through actions, not only words, is what is critical to the team that you have and how your business grows. So if you do wish to work on culture, maybe think about scoring your current culture out of 10, or maybe your understanding of what your current culture is out of 10, and see what you might need to do to move yourself 2 points forward from whatever number you score yourself. So an example of this, just to give you a real world use case, this is Sir Clive Woodward, 2003 World Cup rugby winning coach, and also the team coach for the Beijing Olympics and London 2012 Olympics for Team GB. So he had 15 core values which delivered high performance, and there were subsections: hygiene, be professional in everything that we do, and 100% me, which is ownership, accountability, and responsibility. Now, these could just be nice buzzwords that were on the wall, that were in the team handbook that people spoke about, but how do you turn them into usable actions? Well, he created what's known as rules of the game. So to improve hygiene, to reduce, illnesses, to reduce people's recovery taking too long, to reduce anything to do with health, rules of the game were that you were to use hand sanitizer at every given opportunity, and water bottles were being cleaned every single day. And by doing so, it meant that people's recovery rates went up, sickness went down, and training became more and more consistent. And he continued this across the board: daily actions that delivered the subsections of high performance. Same with the World Cup rugby winning team. So in the late 90s, he introduced like laptops and data, and any of the rugby players that didn't want to be a part of that didn't embrace the technology, they were off the team. And there were some high profile cases of that happening, but ultimately it worked because it led to England winning the Rugby World Cup in 2003. So here's 5 key ways to boost your team retention. And again, we coach on this for hours and hours, but I'm giving you the top level. Culture, building the culture, maintaining the culture, and developing the culture as your business grows. Onboarding. So please do have a think about your current onboarding process. And onboarding for us is 90 days. It's not just day one, it's day one, week one, month one, and then the first 90 days, which is also the probation period, during which time you've got KPIs and performance targets. So giving the person that you've just employed the best chance of success in your business. Setting individual goals for that particular person. And then common goals, going back to the Lionel Messi example, something that they can work towards as a part of a team. And finally, trust, building trust, giving trust across the board is one of the key factors in team retention. So over to Damien. Managing the team in a built environment design business is more than just HRM.
Thanks, Cooks. So yeah, obviously you're all managing teams of time-based individuals. So you're selling time. And what does that ultimately mean? It means that your people are your product. So whenever you go out to market and you're earning money from your customers, it's because you're selling someone's time. If we look at how technology, in this case Synergy, can help with that, it's all about the data points that you can get out of it. Yeah, I understand it's maybe a little bit small, but feel free to, there'll be a QR code at the end, and I'm very happy to set you up with a demo of what I'm showing you today and how some of this might work in more detail, because this is just to give you a quick snapshot. So what we're seeing here is a staff card in Synergy and the private staff personal details. In the left-hand column, you've got a bunch of information that you would add on the card on onboarding. And then in the middle, you've got extra data which can be customized. So you can even store things like their favorite cake so that you can get them a birthday cake, things like that. So what I'm trying to portray here is the importance of having details against every staff member that builds a story around that individual, which allows you to manage them how they want to be managed and then get the most out of them. So storing all that data in one single spot is how you want to do it. Thanks, Cooks. You can also, in Synergy, staff members are able to add their own leave, see how much leave they've got left. But more importantly, as managers of these staff, you can see trends in their leave, understand if there's any red flags that you need to be aware of before you have a conversation with them around it. And obviously, this is an important part that connects to the resourcing of your staff on your projects as well, which we'll show next. So this is the leave calendar. So who's in and who's out on sort of a higher level across all staff. You can see in purple who's away and when. If you've got all staff away, it'll be a line straight down the screen like that one on the left. And that means that there's a bank holiday or something like that. So this is, again, to help with resourcing. Thanks, Cooks. Skills and qualifications is another one that links to resourcing in Synergy. Obviously, you want to have the right people on the right projects. And in order to do that, if you have the skill sets that they have against them, the little boxes on the right where you can add specific skill sets, and you can also add qualifications. Now you can filter by your staff. And obviously if you're a very small team, this may not be as much of a requirement because you know what people's skill sets are. But on a larger team, you might want to know who has skills in what area, who has qualifications in what area, when that qualification may expire, and can you therefore add them on a project that requires that. And this is a big one that we talked about in the very first webinar in the series that we've held around profitability. And it's sort of become a theme through each of the webinars we've talked on, actually. It's understanding the exact cost of the unit of time for each individual based on the salary that they have, and therefore knowing what you can charge them out at, or what you can build your fees with that person in mind based on, and to achieve a certain amount of profit. So you're able to understand actual profit for each individual, for each hour or unit of time that you build them out for. And that's a really important thing. As I mentioned, your people are your product. Every single product business that I know manages each element or widget of product in a warehouse and understands exactly what it costs them to build that and then sell it. So you need to do the same with your people. I'm sure Cooks has some comments around that with his hot sauce business.
Yeah. I did want to add, I think what's really important here as well, especially for architects and architectural practices, built environment practices, is that you've got fee earning team members, and non-fee earning team members. And even those of you who maybe don't have a team yet, there's times when you're not going to be fee earning, and it's really important to understand the financial costs of that time to your business, and the financial implications of that on projects as well. And this is where things like scope creep and things like that come in. And because we're talking about team, once you have that information and you're able to at least see that information, you can then make choices around, well, look, is it actually worth my time, me working on the business and then also doing the design work? Or is it better for me to actually hire a freelancer to do the design work or the technical work on this particular project, and for me to work on building a relationship or nurturing a relationship with a large client? So I was actually talking about this yesterday with Sam, who's in the chat box, about around a project that he's working on. I won't get into details, but we had a strategic level conversation about his time. And is it better for him to bring in a specialist consultant to work on a certain part of the project? Yes, he can do the work, and he's highly talented and skilled in doing it, but his time would be better used nurturing the relationship with the client. And so the decision can be made based on his understanding of costs and hourly rates using information like this. And that's why it's so critical to not only building the business and profitability, but actually deciding on hiring someone, whether they're freelance or full-time as well.
Yeah, it's probably just worth explaining what's on this screen in a little bit more detail. So the calculations we are doing here is based off the salary, the number of hours per year that they work based on the standard working week, the availability based on the amount of leave that they might have or are able to take. And therefore we can come up with an actual cost per unit, which in this case is 65.35. We want to add a target profit margin on top of that. So we can theoretically charge this person out at 78.42 to make that margin. And if you look up the top in the box at the top, their default rate or charge out rate for this particular person, I think it's a senior interior design rate, is an £81 per hour. So we're making about £2.50 extra on top of the margin that we already want to make on this person. If they come to you and say, I want £60,000 a year, then the calculation will adjust automatically, and you can have that conversation. And you might need to bump their charge out rate up, make them a senior associate or something different. But it allows you to have that conversation and really understand what's happening.
Yeah, and then same with your recruitment process, right? Like if you know that when you're recruiting people, if you've got 10 candidates, you can work out actually what the charge out rates are going to be.
Or are they too low?
Are they too low? Yeah. Are they, are you getting a bargain because they're asking for less money and therefore your margins will be higher? Can you offer them more bonus to get the right person on board? It really allows you to make strategic level decisions when you understand this data.
And sometimes it's the market factors, so you can't really help it. You have to pay people a certain amount, and therefore you might need to increase your rates because everything's gone up, So it allows you to sort of have that analysis. What we're seeing here, and actually it's really funny, Will, you mentioned before that you're hiring too late. This is actually exactly what this screen is designed to help with. In this instance anyway, this is our synergy planning board. So what you're seeing, the green lines across the screen are actually projects that go for a number of months. There are shorter ones. You can see they've had little heads on them or initials that have been resourced on them. But down the bottom where we would normally see the weighted forecast of revenue, you can adjust that to show different rates. And in this instance, I've used Project Architect. So I can see along that black line, and it's sort of always a little bit over capacity, never really under. I've got 1.2 over capacity at peak, which means I need more people to complete the jobs that I've got in my business planned out for the next few weeks in this instance, and then it drops down towards closer to the black line. So it's actually not too bad. So it's only a very short amount of time that I'm 1.2 over capacity, but it means that it's probably doable with a bit of extra overtime. If that was 3 or 4 over capacity for an extended period of time, I'd need to hire more people. And so, Will, you can easily see if you're budgeting well and putting the right amount of effort required for each particular rate in your business against your projects, you can really easily see where your requirements are in your staffing. And just to wrap up, the final one is our Synergy Analytics Plus dashboards. It's bringing in a Power BI dashboard using all the data that's in Synergy at your fingertips to be able to drill down into it and interrogate it. What we're seeing here is the one dashboard around utilization. And you can see I've got a utilization chart for each month across the business. I can break it down by offices in the table below and teams within an office. And then you can go further down and break it down to individuals or rates, as you can see on the filters at the bottom. So that gives you an understanding of how utilized your billable staff are, and really making sure that you're getting the most out of them for the time that they're in the business. So a couple of key takeaways. If we go to the next slide, yep. Having a tool that helps you manage your team can have a huge impact, and it's not just about having a HRM or a HR management software package. It's the data points that exist because of the fact that you are selling your people as the product in your business. The key things you want visibility on would be utilization and efficiency, individual profitability. We talk extensively around that, leave taken, and any red flags that might be there in any kind of trends, I guess. Key staff details to understand individuals and how to work with them. That's really important to building your culture. Skills and qualifications to make sure you got the right people on the right jobs. And obviously capacity into the future, which we talked about, making sure you're hiring at the right time, or indeed potentially shrinking the team if needed, or redirecting the team's efforts to something that keeps them busy while you have a little downturn and keep them in the business, so that when the uptick happens, you've still got the right people that you want in your business, because it's just important to hang on to them if they're great.
Yeah, there's a lot of time, effort, and energy that goes into finding people, recruiting them, training them up, and the last thing that you really want to be doing is having people go in and out all the time. Like it takes
avoid the revolving door.
Yeah, exactly. So look, marginal gains, what does this mean? I think 30 years ago in F1, the average pit stop was like 2 or 3 minutes long. Today it's something like 30 seconds, I think, 10 seconds, 30, I don't know, but it's rapid. Point being, it took 30 years for them to reduce the time down, that the car comes in and it goes straight back out. It might even be 2 or 3 seconds. And so the same applies to you. We've covered a great deal today. And so the advice would be to pick 1 or 2 key principles that have resonated the most with you, and start to try and implement them. Start to try and make changes in your business rather than trying to do it all. Give yourself time, because it's not easy. As business owners, there's so many things that you have to do. So give yourself time to implement it. And whether it's us or someone else, but get a mentor, get a coach that's going to help you make this happen and to talk through the business. Because look, as business owners, we really don't have anyone else to talk to. We don't have people we can turn to help with our business. And that's what a coach will do. They will help you with the business specifically as a business owner to help you get the results that you want. And more importantly, is just to take daily actions. So look, just out of interest, before we move on, if you could, in the chat box, just share your one big light bulb, one key action, anything that stuck with you throughout the webinar. It'd be really great to see what's resonated over the last kind of 45, 50 minutes. So answers in the chat box, please. Your one key action, takeaway, light bulb from what we've covered today. God, I hope this one gets some response, because otherwise I'm done.
Everyone's sitting in the dark now.
yeah. Culture, cheers, Sam. Thank you. Steps of delegation, the last one, agree. I love that. Cheers, Anne. Hire for attitude, train for skill. Thank you, Will. Culture, attitude, candidates recording the video. I love that, Ruth. Yeah, it's immensely powerful. It changes everything. Attitude more important than skill. The idea that I'm selling my team's time, yeah, huge.
Yeah, it does sort of take away from it a little bit when you say that a person is a product. It makes you feel like you're sort of dehumanizing things, but you have to think of it like that from a commercial perspective.
Yeah, otherwise you don't have a business. You can't pay people salaries.
Yeah.
You can't do all the good things that you want to do, right? So Damo, do you want to just explain this?
Yeah, so if anyone would like to have a little bit more of an in-depth discussion around how Synergy might be able to help in this and any other part of the business, scan the QR code and that will take you to a page to book a session with one of our experts. And yeah, let us know if you'd like to have anything in specific in that conversation. But yeah, book a session with one of us and we'll get back to you. And
I know a couple of people that have done this. They've done the demo specifically to kind of test how
Mm,
it can help what they're working on at the moment. I think the last one was for time management, and so people wanted to see like, oh, okay, how does this actually work when it comes to time, and how can it help, right?
exactly. Yeah. Look, and we're very happy just to give you an understanding of what's out there. It doesn't, there's, need to
Same
do
with
a,
us as well. Look, if anyone's interested, earlier on I said this is part one. I'm coming into part two now. We're a coaching team. The guy on the left that you see is Parag. Has been working with Reba for like the last 9 years, so really knows the world of architecture really well. Dan, we've got Margarita. They're quite handsome chap on the far right hand side. Me, Cordy. I work with many architects, and I understand the challenges faced. And so, what we'd also like to offer is a 45-minute gifted coaching session. Same thing. If you scan the QR code, it takes 2 to 3 minutes to fill in the form, and we will work specifically on any challenges that you face in your business. Around team, it could be around goal setting, it could be around finance, marketing, any specific challenges that you want to work on. We will work on that with you during that 45-minute call, and it is a full coaching session. I will also add a link in the chat box in case you have problems with the QR code. Now, I do also want to add as well, look, by the end of the coaching session that we have, if you do take up this offer, only if you wish, only if you see there's value, we can talk about our coaching program and how it works. But that is not the primary purpose of the phone call. This is a full-on coaching session designed to help you. So please take up the offer if what we covered today resonates and you do want to work on your business. So I'll leave that up on the screen for a couple of minutes. Aside from that, thank you very much to everyone who joined. I'm glad that people got value out of it. There was actions and insights that people got. Just going to stop sharing the screen. If there is anything else, any questions, any queries that you've got, please sign up. We can go through those questions and queries via the link or the gifted coaching session. But thank you everyone for joining today. Damo, thank you as always, mate. Looking forward to the next one.
thanks everyone. Yep.
And speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.
See you later.